This Never Throw in the Towel podcast episode is brought to you by UKIM Occupational Health and Wellbeing. They are a healthcare service company with a clear commitment of breaking the stigma and breaking the silence around conversations about mental health. Their mission is to try and tackle the problem with the nation's sick economy with the aim to keep people in work. I just want to say a huge thank you to UKIM for getting behind the Never Throw in the Towel podcast, which is conversations around mindset, mental health, and physical health, with the message of resilience, never giving in, and never throwing in the towel. Our aim is to help and inspire. Thank you. Welcome to the Never Throw in the Towel podcast. So today, this one is for the ladies. We have a sexy Geordie hunk in the house. Off camera, he asked me to mention that he's handsome, so I will say he's handsome as well. And he actually has really large biceps and triceps as well. He is an original Geordie Shore member, and he also made a comeback as well to go on the show. As well as being extremely handsome, he is an absolute top bloke. I've known this man for many years, and he's an absolute lovely lad, so it's a pleasure to have him on the show. He is an online coach, massively into the gym. Welcome to the podcast, James Tindale. How are you, my friend?
Welcome.
How was that? Was that okay?
That was a really good intro. As far as the comment, it's probably top 10. Top 10 I've ever had. Could have a few more compliments would have been a bit better, but yeah.
He has really nice eyebrows and good teeth.
Finally, they never used to be bad. They never used to be good, the eyebrows. Jesus, I got some stick for that back in the day. But honestly, I'm buzzing to be here. It's a pleasure. Love what you're doing.
We've obviously been messaging, lining this up.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming on. And I wanted to specifically get you on. Is we can relate a lot because we've done the reality TV show stint.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that I really want to touch on. So take me back. What was it like being a young lad getting on TV?
It wasn't ever something that I kind of went, right, I need to do this. I remember obviously growing up with you and we would go out and then sometimes we'd get to the bar or something, there'd be a queue and you just walk straight at the front. So there was a sense of us like, I need a bit of this. But it's funny because it's for the different reasons. When you look back on it now, it's like, oh, well, if it could make my life a bit easier, if I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock to go to work every morning, it would be good. And we were literally just at that age where it was going out, and like Newcastle back in 2010, 2011, there wasn't really anywhere touched it. It was so good.
Yeah.
Like we would go out every night of the week. It's not like kids now. No one goes out now, really.
Yeah.
But then it was like you go out on a Tuesday, there'd be thousands of people there. You'd see the same faces every week.
Tuesday back in the day, wasn't it?
And it was unbelievable. So like, at the time, I was working for my dad, and I was driving and doing deliveries and stuff. So I would go out, and sometimes I'd get in at 2, 3 in the morning. I'd be up at 5, going down to his warehouse and loading the van up and going. And then obviously we'd go out all the time. And then when the opportunity come, and it was kind of going around Newcastle, it was like this new show was happening, and there hadn't been masses amounts of reality TV then. It wasn't like now. There was Big Brother, which obviously I knew Ant had done, and apart from that, there was only like really like high level shows, which obviously they wouldn't get someone off the street to go and do. So the way they sold it to me was you were going to live in a party house, and like I thought, oh well, I'm going to know the lads and the girls straight away because we go out that much. I pretty much live in Tuesday, so I'm going to see it's going to be loads of people that I know. So they sold it. It was basically you're gonna party for, I think it was 4 weeks at the time. It was a shorter one. Everything's going to be paid for. And I was just like,
Did you get scouted, or did you got scouted?
I was on a night out. I was actually in Tup Tup. I was in Tup Tup.
Yeah.
And do you know what? At the time, like I come across really confident, but I wasn't really. Not at like 19-year-old. It was all a bit of like an act and stuff. And I remember there was a girl came up to us in Tup Tup, and it was at the time, I don't know why, we always used to buy bottles of rosé. So we'd always have a bottle of rosé, me, like us lads. I don't know what. I think it was because it was cheap as well. It was like £8 for a bottle, and it
gets you
more.
wrecked. Yeah.
And I've always been a bit of a lightweight, so like that would be me for the night. And I remember there was a woman there. Well, I say a woman, she'd have probably been like early 20s, mid 20s, and she started talking to us, and I thought, oh, she's trying to graft us. So I was like entertaining it and that. And then she was like, oh, we're doing this show. Like, I think you'd be a really good fit for it. So I was just like, not really thinking anything of it. Sold myself a bit, give a bit of a biggin, and then I ended up going for an interview for it, like about 3 or 4 days later.
And by the way, back in 2010, I can't stop laughing, and I'm gonna continue laughing in this podcast, by the way. But the t-shirts that you used to wear, how deep the scoop on his t-shirt, you could almost see his pubes.
He brought them all into Geordie Shore.
I did
The world got to see them.
The V-neck scoop. You were seeing grade 1 pubes.
But to be fair, them tops went everywhere. I'm sure I made my mate millionaire. He let me give us a few tops.
Was it Sinner?
No. It was Alex Christopher.
In Leeds.
Yeah. So it was like the low cut, but then you'd wear the low cut t-shirt. The sleeves were like up here. Yeah. And then you'd wear the tight bottom jeans, but they'd be drop crotch.
Yeah.
And I remember the ones that had about 12 buttons on, the cream ones.
Yeah.
When you look back, we probably used to wear the same outfits all the time, then boots and all. Like, it's mad looking back on, but we thought we were the bee's knees then. But everything was literally lowest top, eyebrows done. Like, you put so much effort into your appearance.
Yeah. But what was it like though? Because you were 19.
Yeah.
Like, how did you cope with it? You'd obviously got on the show, and then you're famous.
Yeah.
People know who you are. How was that dealing with that at that young age?
It was totally unexpected. Like, me and the lads and everyone when we done it. I remember when it was the end of filming, we all sat in the room and all of us were like getting emotional and filling up because we're like, God, like, it's finished. That's it now. We're probably not going to do it again. We didn't even know if it was going to go on TV or not. Thought it was going to be a pilot. I think they sold it to us as a pilot because it was like the UK's version of Jersey Shore. Didn't know if it was definitely going to go out or not. So left there, and then we got invited down to London and stuff, and then you could just tell they were buzzing with it. And they were like, right, you need to quit your jobs and that. And we were just like, shit, like, this is getting serious now. It's getting real. And we hadn't prepared for it. Like, no one can prepare you for what you're going to be catapulted into because it's the unknown. Yeah. And at like 19, 20-year-old, you don't really think about anything. You just go, there's an opportunity. I'm having it.
Yeah. You know what?
Absolutely.
It's a great point that you've mentioned there, because about no one can prepare you for it because
it's overnight.
Yeah. So like, I can relate because when I went on Big Brother, the producers did give you the negative sides, the potential negative sides, but especially at that young age, you're not hearing that. You're just thinking, I'm a run of the mill lad. I've got the opportunity to get on TV, potentially make a load of money, and no matter what they say, they can't prepare you for what's going to happen.
No, absolutely not.
I think as well, there's a big difference in years between you two. So when you come out, and I think there was a lot of face-to-face negativity, whereas you come out as social media was really going up. So it's
Twitter as well. Twitter was horrible back then.
Really? Yeah. What did you get much stuff on social media then?
Like, I've had my fair share of hate, but I do feel in a way that I've had it lightly compared to some people, especially the girls on the show. They got torn. Yeah. Like, it was horrible. I remember seeing them some days, they'd be like crying, whereas I'd see stuff and I'd be like, it's like
thick skin, laugh it off.
Like, laugh it off. But in all fairness, there has been things over the years that have really got to us, and I've thought, God, like, is that what people think of us or whatever? So some things do cut deep, but compared to the girls, I didn't have it as bad. But I remember just like, it was daft, just like jealous things or daft comments. Like, you get slaughtered on your like appearance, but then I'd have stuff like if I'd had, because we used to go to Ireland a lot doing clubs. We used to go all over, and if we'd jump on a flight, so I'd be like, you'd have to do promo for the club, so you'd be like, right, I'm going to be a blah 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 in Ireland tomorrow night, or if you're boarding the plane, take a photo or whatever. People were like, hope the plane crashes, hope you die. Wow. Like, just horrible stuff.
Yeah.
But that was before even like trolls existed.
Yeah.
Like,
So, there wasn't a
branded.
word.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just thought,
Yeah.
oh God, this is someone who
Yeah.
doesn't like me. Like,
Yeah.
what's
So
going
you
on here?
really hit it right at the beginning of
Right at
when
the
the
beginning.
negativity started. So how did you deal with that?
I think because we had so much going on at the time, you kind of brushed it off, and there was so many positives coming with it.
Yeah.
Later on, as things started quieting down a bit, then you would notice things like that more, and it would
Because you had
affect
more
it a lot
time on your
more.
hands.
Yeah, because you had a lot more time to look
Yeah.
at things and
But
think
it's
about it.
speaking to people though who've been in the game and done the fame stuff. They get a lot of the positives, but for some reason, a lot of the time they hone in on the negative stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they might get 100 positives, but they'll get that one message, and that's the one they focus on.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that is like a personal insecurity and
Yeah.
someone's picking up on it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, something that's going to really affect you, then you're going to listen to that more than, oh, I love you on the show, or blah, blah, blah. People singing your praises.
Yeah,
Because if you look at it, like, I've never been on any of these like you used to, but I've watched them. So I've got this perception of what you guys are like outside. And then if someone attacks you for that one negative that you've got as an insecurity, that must be tough. Because people feel like they know you. When they've watched you so much on telly, they feel like they know your personality. But a lot of you in Big Brother, it was probably different. The cameras weren't as in your face, so you were probably being a lot more natural. But with yourself, a lot of it will have been a front, I would imagine, where because it's like I've got to keep this high energy
Oh,
up.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I've got these cameras are in my face. I've got to keep this high energy up. I've got to pull girls. I've got to be drinking loads. I've got to be like
Pressure's on, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, there was an element of pressure with yous, especially with getting girls and stuff as well.
Yeah, that was like one thing, because I think at one point the show turned into that, but then I was you know what, I was like growing up and like I loved going out, and that was one of the main things you wanted was attention, girls. But when it got to the point where that's all the show was about, and they took the fun elements out of it, like the lads banter, it changed for a bit, and then I always remember thinking, God, like, is this all it is? Like from the minute we got in the club to the minute we left, it was like
I remember that season when that happened, because you had a lot of like, I wouldn't say arguments with Gaz and Scotty, but there was a lot of tension there.
It was
because they were
them two were
competing.
So them two were competing with each other, and it had always been like us growing up, where you would all get ready, have your pre-drinks, you'd be like winding each other up and having a laugh, but then it just got to, can't wait to go out tonight and pull. It's all it was all day, and it was like, but then when you were filming, it was so much harder because only certain girls would come back. The kind of girls that would come would literally stand at the front of the barrier and watch you all night. So for me, that was a bit like, I felt a bit weird. But and then they had to pass like loads of tests and stuff to get through. Like they had to have a passport. They had to not work in certain lines of work.
Sectors,
They couldn't
right.
be like a nurse or
Right.
anything
Wow.
like that. So basically, you just went out and you looked for someone unemployed who was like a massive fan and literally just wanted to spend the night. That's what it turned into.
So it actually wasn't much graft then. It was just they were there.
It depends, like, because I would always try and get someone decent. You wouldn't just take the first, like, it wouldn't be like a 3 a.m. job, but especially because you knew it was going on camera. But it did turn into that, like a massive competition with the other lads, and like I think that's why I got so close to the girls in the end. Because they were having a good time as well.
Yeah. But I want to take it back actually to the social media side of things, because I think that's quite an important topic as well. Because especially with the reality TV, when these people are on reality TV and they get the slander on the social media, especially what you touched on before, where they might touch on some insecurity and stuff. You know, I remember, I didn't get it online, but if someone said something bad, you really took it personally.
You did,
and I think that's something that you build with years of experience. So I remember when I closed my business, Mr. Hutton's Barbers and Bar, it was announced on social media. there was endless
There's
amounts
people
of,
waiting for your downfall, isn't there?
yeah, there was just
Yeah.
there was endless amounts of personal insults. But because I've got years of experience now, like I'm able to digest it, and it genuinely didn't bother me, because now I look at it now, where if someone writes something really negative, I just think I almost feel sorry for them, because for them to do that, they must be in a bad place themselves.
Exactly. I think everything's a reflection on the person.
Yeah.
And normally when they're pointing out insecurities, it's something that they're insecure about, or
Yeah.
if it's something in their life, they mightn't be happy that they're not where they want to be, and then they'll see someone else doing stuff, and then they make excuses of why they're not doing it. Oh, well, they've been on TV, it must have been easier for them.
When you're young, early 20s, late teens, and you get an insult, you take it personal. But that's one of the, I'm hooking onto that, because that's something that I think the youth of today, they really struggle with social media, especially with bullying, comparison.
I think everything's been heightened, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just that's one of the messages I want to get out there is...
Things go viral as well.
Yeah. If anyone is getting slander or getting stuff put on them, just to digest it and just to realise, actually, it's not on them. It's on the person who's sending it.
Yeah.
Like, because they must be not in a great place to send that negativity.
Yeah. Well, you're not in a happy place, because if you'll know yourselves, if you're happy and you're content, you don't look at negativity, and you don't get jealous of someone else, or you don't.
You're only interested in your own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up the people around you rather than putting them down. Yeah. You must have got a lot of I think a lot of yours would have been put down to jealousy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because we used to get slated for, I can't believe they're doing this. They're bringing Newcastle down and stuff. And we were just like, are you mad? Like, if you go out in Newcastle any night of the week, there's people out there doing a hell of a lot worse than us. We're actually quite...
You put it on the map, if anything. It brought tourism to Newcastle.
Everything went wild.
You're always going to get that negativity. But the way I look at it, like, if you've got a bunch of young people and they're working in normal jobs, now they've got the opportunity to get on TV and actually change their life. And I mean, if you look at, some of the houses, I mean, Charlotte literally lives in a mansion.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean? So, how are you not going to take that opportunity?
Exactly. When a door opens for you, especially when you're young, and it's got the chance of changing your life, you're going to take it.
100%.
Everyone is. And if you don't take it, you're probably going to look back in years to come and be like, I wish I had done that, and I never wanted to be that person.
And I think it's how you use it as well. I still Big Brother gets mentioned.
Yeah.
Did it have negatives? Yes. Has it had some positives? Absolutely. I always just take the positives. I've always had the Big Brother background and just tried to take the positives from it, from the doors that it opens. And it's how you capitalise on it. Obviously, you've capitalised on it and pushed it towards your interest in the training side of things and the fitness side of things.
I just think when you've got a platform as well and you can use it to help other people, then it's great. Like what you're doing with the podcast now, I do the same with my clients. Like I'll get a message from a client and they'll be saying that they're unhappy, they're in a bad place, they might have just went through a breakup, like things like that, and then the turnaround within like say a 12-week time frame, they're literally bouncing and you can just hear in the voice how happy they are. They're like a different person. So that to me it's very like rewarding. Like I love that part of the job. So that's one of the main factors. Obviously I've always loved training. Because that's been like a tool for me to like handle things like tough situations, get in the gym. I know I'll always feel better coming out of there than going in. And if I had stayed in the house and sat and just like scrolled on my phone, I'd have been in a lot worse of a headspace than coming out feeling fresh.
I want to dive into that a bit more because obviously
great words then.
Yeah, as you know, we've just done the Stoltmans podcast, and
they're units, like the massive, big, strong, powerful blokes. You would look at them and think they can take on the world. They'll not have any. They'll not worry about anything because they could probably crush a car. Do you know what I mean? But
they did. And
everyone does.
Luke,
everyone has their own struggles.
Yes. And Luke talked about if he didn't do his cold dip on the morning,
Yeah.
the difference on his mental state throughout the day.
Yeah.
You're obviously huge for the gym, and it always has been a staple in your life, right? From we've all seen it from the first series, and you know, obviously since you've left as well, it's been a massive part. You had your own gym, you're now doing the online stuff. You talked there about how important it was in your life, but where would you be without the gym?
For me, if I don't have structure and routine, I feel lost. Like, I need to have my day planned out, or like I like to have my days similar. So I like to go to the gym at a certain time of the day.
Yeah.
I like to go for a walk, etc., and plan this in around like my work blocks and stuff. And if I don't have structure, I'll just sit there and go, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
And I felt like that when I was doing Geordie Shore, especially the early days. I was so busy that when we would have a break from filming, I'd come home and I'd be lost because I'd be like, what do I do? Like, and I found myself, I was going to the Metro Centre all the time. I was just going shopping and stuff because I was just, I didn't know how to spend my time during the day. So
you need to be stimulated.
That's something that was a big part for me in reflection when I started not being in a great place. It was because I literally had no structure. There was the self-worth because there was no job.
He didn't have to be anywhere.
It didn't have to be anywhere.
Yeah.
It was just like what. And then once I moved to Darlington, away from Newcastle. And then literally got a normal job. It was just that structure. It just helped so much. Just a little bit of self-worth.
So even people who do have jobs and stuff, they can tweak their structure and they'll see benefits from it.
Yeah. We spoke about this morning actually. Just recently, how your mood's changed. I know you've had you've just had another baby. With Xander. So now there's two of them, and you know it's a lot busier your life. But you know, this last couple of weeks you've got back into running. Obviously, we're training for the Great North Run, and how your mood has instantly gone up. And other people have noticed it as well.
It's obviously I've got two boys now. You've got a toddler, live wire, and then you've got the baby. And due to probably being a bit lazy, lack of sleep, I stopped training. I stopped going to the gym, and my mood is slightly dipped. And I don't know, it was something that massively I had a realization. Obviously I'm doing the North Run. I started going on run. I've started running a lot, then getting back into the gym, and I was in the shower just feeling so much better. And it was just clicked. It was like I literally have to train. I have to train, and
just getting out makes a huge difference.
It really is. That's one of the big messages is like one of the best medicines out there for your physical health and your mental health is training, going to the gym. It's cliche, but it is.
You start feeling better. You start noticing you're looking better. And then the motivation just comes from there, doesn't it? So like at first for people it is hard. Like they do need discipline. That's why a lot of people give up straight away. But they need to just grind through that bit, and then 3-4 weeks in, that's when they start noticing changes, and then that's when it'll just become a habit, and they'll just thrive off it. I honestly couldn't imagine going a week without going to the gym now. I'd feel terrible, even though I probably wouldn't look much different. Like I'm raring to get back in and get back in the routine, and because I feel so good when you're in the gym and you're lifting weights and
I
you're
remember,
running. And
I mean, we've been pals for years, and there's not many people that I know who've really been into the gym as you. In fact, I remember, I don't know whether you remember this. We were at a house party, right? And
I love a hunting story.
And it ran over, right? And James was wanting to go to the gym. He was like, "We need to go. Like, I need to go to the gym." And I was like, what are you talking about? We're at a party. And James was actually wanting to go to the gym. So it's always been because I was like, what are you on about? We're at a party.
Yeah. I was always like that though. It would get to the parties and it would get to a certain time, and I was never staying up and through days and stuff. I'd always like find a bed somewhere or
we'll move on from the parties.
We've got some very good stories, but I don't think we should bring them all up, should we? Different men now.
I think then for people watching and listening who are a bit down, I think what you've said there, and you know what we've touched on with yourself just lately, is just getting out and doing fitness and exercise is
Even
imperative just to your mental state and
even just creating a structure where, say, you've got your work routine, getting up 20 minutes earlier, going for a walk around the block, like different setups that they just set you up differently for the day. If you start your day with a positive, more than likely it's going to continue like that. But if you wake up and you go on your phone and you do see someone sending a nasty message or you see something negative, then it's going to automatically drop you down a few levels. But if you're out and you're just focusing on something, set yourself goals, get after them, you're going to be onto a winner.
Yeah. And I know, like me and you, we've exchanged messages coming into the podcast and stuff. Yeah. And I know when you lost your dad, it was obviously a very, very difficult time for you. Yeah. And I specifically remember, you know, obviously I'd sent you a message in condolences and stuff, but am I right in thinking that you really, really went all in with the training side of things? And then I know that you committed to a boxing fight. Yeah. Was that a specific aim to try and keep on top of your
Yes
headspace?
and no. So basically, because my dad died really suddenly, like it was unexpected, had a heart attack, went to hospital and they thought he was going to be fine, and then ended up like having a major one in there, and like they put him in a coma and stuff, and he was in there for a couple of days. But I just remember that was the same again. It was just a massive shock. So didn't expect it. Went in kind of when I found out he died. It was just like, I think probably for a few months, it was almost like it wasn't real. I didn't kind of believe it. Yeah. But it was a week before he died, I signed the contract for the fight. Okay. Because there'd been talks on and off with doing a one with a different opponent, and he ended up pulling out. So I left it, and then I got offered this new one, and it was kind of like everyone, like all the organisers and stuff, were like, we understand if you don't want to do it, like we totally get that. But it was like, but if I don't do it, I'm just going to be sat in the house. Yeah. And I was like, I need something to keep us going. I was enjoying the training. Mentally, thinking back, I probably wasn't in the best place for it. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't thinking, like there was no thought. I think I was more
surviving.
Yeah, surviving, and then also like getting rid of my aggression through boxing. But like I'd love to do it again now because I enjoyed it. But back then, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you were in fight or flight mode. It sounds like
it helped us a lot, but at the same time, like, do you know, once it come to the fight day, so I was all right all day, and then I was kind of like, do you know, like, what am I going to do after this? Like, what's going to be my how am I going to cope after this? And I remember after I was just like, I quite took back for like a fair few days. It kind of sunk in more than what I'd been through. Yeah, and then for a few months I was really like. Just not myself. Yeah. And I was down and I was getting upset all the time. So then that's why I ended up moving to Dubai, because I just wanted something to put us in a completely new structure, and something where I wasn't getting reminders every day. Like I was going and seeing my mum all the time, and like that would remind us, songs on the radio, driving the car, like different things, going past certain places would remind us of my dad. And I still was hurting so much that I thought, do you know what, I'm getting on a flight. And I'm going to try and live somewhere else, because I'd seen it, like everyone on social media. I was like, Dubai's amazing. Like you meet so many motivating people. Like it's the best of the best. So that's why I kind of dived into that without even really thinking about it.
Yeah, you know what? I can totally relate to a couple of things you've said there. So like honestly, my very similar experience with my granddad. Obviously, you know I grew up with my grandparents. Yeah. So my granddad died all of a sudden. And
you can't prepare for it, can you? I think it's always going to be hard losing someone that you love so much. But if you know it's coming, you kind of like get a head start. Yeah. Well, whereas if it's unexpected, it's like.
Well, I got the phone call off my cousin Chloe about my granddad saying, "Granddad's had a heart attack. Yeah. He's been taken to hospital, but he's all right." Yeah. So I quickly went and got my grandma, blasted to the hospital. To be told he died, and it was I got there thinking being told he was all right,
Yeah.
I steamrolled to the hospital to immediately be told off my auntie, granddad's died. And that was like, you know, might
Bet
be
you
the...
can picture back to that exact moment,
No,
can you? You can get
yeah,
the-
completely. It was the shock of it, and then I've also like experienced my grandma passing away. My grandma's, she was like, you know, she was on a deathbed, and so there was planning. So I was able to
So you've
say
seen-
the things. I was
yeah.
able to say the things
Yeah.
I wanted to say to her,
That is
and
that,
we held
yeah.
hands and stuff. So I've experienced the shock, and I've experienced the planning. And from my own personal experience, I think the shock for me was worse.
Yeah.
Because like you just said there is different elements to it. Like afterwards, like I was like, well, you'll never see us do this. You'll never meet my kids. You'll never see us get married. You'll never. So there's that side of it as well.
Yeah, but I think you've got but you've also you think when you've got that adversity, especially you know, a death to a loved one. I think we will all go through it, and I think it's one of the hardest things that you'll ever get. And I think
by far the hardest
you've
thing
got
I've ever
to.
went
I think you've got to
Still is for me,
claw.
yeah.
I think when you've got to claw onto positives though.
Yeah, you do.
You know,
do.
you've got to
If you-
claw onto them.
That's what I thought. I was like, well, if I just stay home, I was finding myself like getting up later. I was not getting ready until later in the day. I'd still go to the gym, but I wasn't really. I wasn't really pushing myself. I didn't have the routine, the structure. I didn't have that like buzz, which is totally understandable. But by noticing that I was doing that and trying to correct it, I feel like it helped us.
Yeah, but you've done something massively important there, though. What you touched on, something that I want to touch on there, though, is you change things up.
Yeah.
And this is something that I massively touch on, is you highlighted something that was an issue, and your change up was obviously going to Dubai.
Yeah, it was.
And
it was. I just wanted
sometimes,
something to have something new to focus on.
Yeah.
A different environment.
Yeah.
And yes, I did still have my hard times over there thinking about
Yeah.
my dad, because it was like not long after I moved, it was Father's Day, then it was his birthday, and then it was like the anniversary of his death later on as well. So I did have my really hard times, but I was able to just be like, I was with my missus as well, who was a massive help through everything. I feel like that's why we've become like, well, we're engaged now, and like, I never thought I was.
When's the stag do?
I know exactly. Well, we go on holiday every year for a stag do, so it'll be mine next year. So obviously having her there around us, like, really showed me how much she was there for us, how much she cared about us, and then like I wouldn't have liked to have went through it alone.
Yeah.
So then when I said about Dubai, she was like, oh, I've always wanted to go there. I'll come with you. And she was like my biggest supporter, and we went together.
Right. Oh, class.
And then, as I say, we got to a point where I started to feel better.
Yeah.
And then I was missing home. I was FaceTiming my mum and stuff. And like, I felt a bit guilty because I had left and she was like alone.
Yeah.
And I'd left my brother to kind of look after everything here. And I was like, do you know what? It's good in Dubai, but I do miss my family. So then come back at Christmas, and I've been happier since I got back. Like, it was needed. Like, as I said, I still do have my bad times.
Yeah.
It'll just come out of nowhere somewhere though. You'll just think, oh, like I've got a key ring in the house, and it's a photo of me and my dad. And like I hadn't seen it for a while, and I was through the drawers looking for something, and I seen it, and I was like, but it does get easier.
Yeah. I still get it now. There's a certain song. It's Ariana Day, Rise Up, and if that comes on, I'll blare. Honestly, I'm gone. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. If that comes on, it's one of my favourite songs ever. But it just reminds us of my grandma. Like my mum and grandma brought me up, and I hate to admit this, but I played for Sunderland growing up. I'm a Newcastle fan. Gonna put that out there. But from 9 to 13, I played for Sunderland, and when there was like 12, 13 dads on the sideline, and then there was my grandma, And she was like,
Shouting
it's weird
and
to
shit,
say it.
yeah.
My grandma was my father figure in life.
Yeah.
And like, then I went on to be quite a decent runner. And it was my grandma.
Your biggest support.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like when I went to national championships in Birmingham, she sat on a minibus,
Yeah.
you know, for 6 hours, and, you know, she was there. She wouldn't miss anything.
Didn't complain once.
No, and then I was 15 and she got leukemia and died quite suddenly. And at 15, it was, you don't understand it. It was the first time I'd ever experienced death.
That's an early time to experience it.
It was tough.
your life.
It was tough, and I did that after I gave up running, which I shouldn't have. College got affected and things like that because I went to college not too long after, and it was tough. And there's still moments now, and it's 18 years on. You know, I still go and see her at the grave and everything, but like, there is moments. But
There always will be, won't there?
Yeah.
But they seem to spread out more.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's
Yeah,
early,
yeah.
it's every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll be weeks and weeks
Yeah.
on end. Whereas it's special
Yeah.
occasions.
It's cliche. It's cliche, but the time
time's a healer.
time is a
healer.
huge healer.
Yeah. It is.
for
It is.
something like that.
But I would
And-
say celebrate them. Like I think, like if
Absolutely.
that song comes on, it reminds me of Grandma.
Yeah.
It reminds me of her being stood on the sideline with hand warmers in the pockets because I was a goalkeeper.
So
So when I
you
come over,
always think of good memories, don't
I
you?
do.
Yeah.
I think of like sitting there having Sunday lunch every Sunday around my grandma's, and
Yeah.
I remember now the
Yeah.
good times rather than getting down.
yeah,
rather
well,
than what
you've just got
happens,
to and it's just your mindset. Like with the project, I try to tell myself now, because my grandma was a heavily influenced in this project. I'm making new memories with her,
Yeah.
and like
I love that.
Yeah,
yeah, and you know she's not here, but also she still is.
She is a part
and I'm
of it,
just
yeah.
like it's been my
Driving force behind you
yeah,
and all the
it's been my
the success it is, yeah.
Aye, and
Absolutely.
but it's you know it's one of the toughest things that we will go through as humans, is losing loved ones and stuff. It really is, but it's it's ultimately it is part of life.
Yeah.
It is adversity that you've got to go through.
Yeah, you've touched on your current relationship, and obviously it's going amazing. You're engaged, you're going to get married, but you did have a couple of like quite high-profile relationships throughout the years that were in the media quite a lot. There was obviously the two notable ones were. Wouldn't say it was a relationship with Holly, but it was definitely there was definitely a lot going on there.
Do you know what? That's funny looking back on now, because like everyone is married and we're all happy and we're found with partners. So we look back on it and we're like, it was just young daft. Like, just friends. Like I get on really, really well with Holly. Like same with all of the girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being in that house around people, like it kind of just happened at the time, but it was never really anything.
How have you found more? I don't know whether you experienced this, because you've done the program like together with people. So for me, obviously I was just on there by myself.
Yeah.
And I've been a little bit, my life in terms of like the stages was pushed back a lot, because I'd done the reality TV show, and then I was, late, like in my late 20s, I was still conducting myself like an 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And I was, me best pals, they were settling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were getting married. They, like my best mate was married with kids.
It does change things. Like I think if I hadn't have done Geordie Shore, I would probably have kids already.
Yeah.
But like I'm only just getting to that stage now, and like I'm 33, whereas majority of the groups of lads, they've all they're a lot more settled.
Did you ever? So I compared. If I'm honest, I was comparing myself a little bit. Have you ever went down that route at all?
I have had a couple of times. So like I'm not gonna lie, Geordie Shore for me, it's been incredible. Like the doors it's opened, the opportunities, the benefits, the money, everything like that. I've travelled the world. Like I've been everywhere. But then sometimes I would think, if I would come back, like as I say it, and I didn't have much on for a month or two, and I'd be like, what do I do? I'd be like, seeing your mates and they're out with the missus and or they're taking the kids somewhere. I'd be like, God, like my life is so different, and sometimes it can feel lonely.
Yeah.
So I remember my long-term relationship, which was on the show, like I got to a point where I was sick of being alone. And
Yeah.
like, it was like the first decent person that come along. I was like, oh, I need a missus. And like everyone else around us was like, you want Geordie Shore, man? You should just stay single. And I was like, but it's my life outside of it as well. Like, I kind of still had the balance because my part on the show, it was never just about pulling girls. Like, I always had the personality. I was come out with daft things, and I would always have the relationship with the girls on the show and be fun. Whereas some of the others, it was literally just they were known as pulling. So I thought, oh well, I can do both, and I did for quite a while. But then it just got to a point where I tried bringing her onto the show. It didn't work. She wasn't a natural on camera. She got a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And it kind of tore it apart to a point where that's when I left, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I want to focus on relationship. how old was I then? About 24, 25. So I still was young, but I was always mature for my age.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want a business. And like, I actually done all my PT qualifications whilst I was at peak Geordie Shore. So it was like, I didn't need to do it, but I was like, I always wanted the backup and I wanted to get out.
Which is good. Always good to work on personal development.
Yeah, because I knew, like, yes, it's making us happy, but I know it's not going to make us happy forever.
Yeah.
Like, the show's changed a lot now, the way it's filmed, and it follows our lives now, so it's a lot more, like, I can probably do it for the next 10 years. Whereas if they were like, now, right, go and do it how he's used to in 2011, 2012, I'd be like, absolutely not. I don't care how much money you throw at it. Like, I can't do that. So I left, and then I was with her, and then after a while, the cracks started to show because it wasn't the right relationship.
Yeah.
And then I remember
Felt it was a bit forced.
Yeah, like, it was just a bit kind of wasn't progressing anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously I'm engaged now, but whereas then it was like I was getting asked, are you going to propose? Are you going to do this? And I was like, nah. It wasn't even a thought on my mind. So then, like, that, like, broke down. And then I remember I was in the gym at that time. I had my own gym. And then I wasn't really enjoying that because I had business partners, and one of them was just a negative, like, not a decent person to be around, especially in a sort of gym environment. It needs to be uplifted. Like, you would turn the music down. Like, every day it was something. And I remember thinking, oh, have I done the right thing here? Like, should I have left all of that? And then it's mad because everything in your life happens for a reason. Because I left, I was still in the gym then, but I had a phone call from Australia. They were like, I want you to do first dates Australia. And I was like, so you're going to fly us to Australia and you want us to go on a date with like an Australian girl? I was like, will you make sure she's decent? And they were like, oh, don't worry, like, we've got you sorted. And I remember going, and I had this Australian swimwear model, and she was really sound and she was nice and that. But I remember going over there, and you could not write this. The night after I'd filmed that, went back, I had a phone call, Geordie Shore producer. Oh, what you up to, James? I know you're single and stuff now. I said, oh, yeah. Would you be interested in coming back on the show? So I was just like... and I was like, we can have a meeting when I get back and we'll see. Like, obviously, I was, like, trying to get a really good deal. And then, I ended up going back. And then I remember that first 2 years going back on the show, I was like... It was like I'd been reborn again.
Yeah.
You know, after
think
going
you
through,
were,
like, a
I
hard
remember
time.
you being... Yeah, I remember there was a big... Like, you were almost this new man. And that was your comeback.
It was the comeback, and I think it was just at the right time. I was at the right time in my life to do it again, and obviously the show had progressed quite a bit since then. So I went back, and then that was like 2017, 2018. So I'd had like maybe 3 or 4 years off.
Yeah.
But then that took away the should I have left sort of thing, because I went back and then I ended up getting a lot more. So I was just like, everything seems to turn itself.
Yeah. I believe in that.
Yeah. Especially if you're a decent person and you keep good relationships with people.
Yeah.
So like, I left there, still really good friends with everyone, really good friends with the crew. Like, people who film it, a lot of them have done it from day one because they love the vibe and they've got such a good, like, atmosphere. So like, they were just like, straight away, they must have went, oh, we need another lad. James is single, we'll get James back, that'll be good. And I was just like,
And I think you get... I don't think anyone could say out bad about you.
No.
Mate. And I think simply, if you're just nice and you always get it back.
You do, yeah. Especially because as well, I've always thought, especially since I come back on Geordie Shore, so I was a lot younger then, whereas I was just kind of like trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Whereas now I know if I'm filming, like I treat it almost like a job.
Yeah.
And I think the crew respect that, like the way I come in, especially since I've come back, like every time I've always got something going on and I've always got so much to give.
Yeah.
Whereas some people might turn up and just want to.
But you go in training on the drink.
Yeah.
But that goes back to your structure and routine, though, because you've identified that as an important part of your life.
Yeah.
You've then been able to take that and take Geordie Shore from a party show to actually this is a career as well for me.
Yeah.
So you've adapted that bit. That leads me on to you had 3 or 4 years out, and they still rang you to go back. I just want to touch on the differences between 23, 2005, Big Brother winner.
Yeah.
Coming out of there, the massive rise to fame, but there wasn't a lot of support, if any.
Yeah.
Especially on the psychological side.
Yeah.
2010 started Geordie Shore. There's only a 5-year difference there, but you were in for quite a few years, and that rolled on.
Yeah.
But
So,
there was more psychological support, would you say, after?
the will have been from when Anthony, I don't know, did you have to do like psych chats or anything? Yeah,
So
basically, before you go on a show, you have to get assessed. They need to make sure that you're okay, you're well to go on TV.
Yeah.
And
That's a ticky box, isn't it? I think. In terms of the people.
Yeah, because there is a lot of people that went on TV where I've looked and thought, how did you get on TV?
You weren't
especially
stable.
back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of from my experience, I had one conversation before I went on the show.
And that was it.
Then after the show, met the same psychologist.
Yeah.
After the show,
20-minute conversation.
Something like that. Met him, and that was it. And literally left to my own devices. But in defence, and I always say this, back in 2005, the word men's mental health mental health wasn't a thing. We weren't there as a society. I think
It's since social media's.
Well, I think it happened. They really took it serious. Unfortunately, probably a little bit too late. They started really getting the finger out when there was deaths from Love Island, when there was suicides from Love Island.
I noticed that.
Did you?
I remember the Mike Thalassus.
Yeah, and
then there was
girls,
Caroline.
Sophie as well.
Yeah, Sophie Graydon.
I remember, so the first ones, you would do the first call, and then I think you would do one at the end. And then once obviously these deaths started happening with people who'd been on shows, they definitely amplified it a lot. And it was a lot more thorough. So like the quick ticky box questions then turned into like really like in depth, and they would ask you about your childhood. They would ask you like if you partied, if how much you drank, if you took drugs, like everything. They would dive in everything. You would get checks done on you. And I actually thought at the time, like, I'm glad they've done this. Because after seeing people
I mean, if you look at that,
the lives.
if you look at that Mike, that Mike's such a good-looking lad. He had everything. Like it's, and I knew Sophie. She was a Newcastle lass. Great lass. Great personality, and it's so sad.
Did you know Mike? Had you ever met him or anything?
No, I don't think I'd met Mike because normally we do all cross paths and stuff. But I don't think I ever got the chance to meet him. But I think it all comes down to another feeling lost. Like coming out of that massive burst into like getting everything, getting endorsements, getting loads of money thrown at you, getting silly amounts of attention from like obviously women, from men for the girls, and then all of a sudden that can't stop, and then you've got time to think on it, and it can be like, what do I do now? So,
and I think with a mix of the other
having
things
someone
as
to
well.
talk to when you're going through and recommend things, and I think they set up programs and stuff now.
Right.
So like, it can do so much. It is a shame that it was brought out late, but I think sometimes that's what it takes to really realise. But I've noticed now, especially like the last probably 3 or 4 years, we actually have like on-site people when we're filming.
Oh, really?
So like if there's any time during filming, and like hats off to Geordie Shore for this, because you can be like, I'm not feeling okay, or I need to speak to, ours is called Dawn, and then she's got her own office somewhere. You can literally go in the office and speak to them.
Yeah.
So I had it I just filmed a show. It was not long after my dad died, and I remember they were constantly like, come and have a chat. And at the time I was thinking, why do they always want to speak to us? But then once it clicked, I was like, it was actually doing us a massive favour.
Yeah.
So I wasn't compressing everything anymore. I was letting it all out regularly, and then it wasn't building up and getting the better of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have any, apart from, we've touched on your dad, did you have any like laws yourself in terms of dealing with the whole reality TV stuff, or has it always just been kind of?
No, do you know what? Like, see, this is why I wanted to do this, because there will be people out there who are struggling, and they'll probably look at someone like me and they'll think, he'll not worry about anything. He'll have had no struggles.
Yeah.
But I've had so much over my life. Like when I was 13, my mum had a brain aneurysm, and I remember I was at school and I had to get taken out of school, and they basically told us at the time, like, expect the worst, she was going to die. So like I had to, from when I was 13 to after I left school, like me and my brother, we had to like defend for ourselves. Like we had to make our own meals, get ourselves ready for school, do everything. Because my dad was then looking after my dad's business and my mum's, and looking after my mum at the same time. So I remember that was a hard thing to go through. But when you're younger, you kind of don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
And then obviously going into TV, I had the really highs, and then I did have some lows as well, like feeling alone. That time when I left the show to focus on my relationship and do a new business, and then my relationship collapsed, my business wasn't working, it wasn't anything like what I kind of projected it to be, it wasn't the happy environment I wanted. So I was like, I remember at times, I don't even have baths, right? But at the time I was having baths, and I was like sat in the bath and I was thinking, this is like, what have I done basically? Like, I've had everything, and now I've kind of feel like everything's been taken away. I've lost everything. But like, I remember it took us a little while, and then I started building momentum again and getting back on the right track. I had offers for TV coming in.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you know what,
new women coming in my life, and like obviously now when I look back on it, like I'm with someone who is so much better for us, and like we're literally perfect. And then when I look back, and I was a bit bothered then about that one, but really, like now, would I swap? No, like
no. You know what? Honestly, I can
shout out to the future Mrs. Tyndall.
Yeah. You know what? Though, I can honestly, where I'm listening to you talk, and I'm hanging on to every word, because I can literally relate so much. Like I remember looking at my life where I thought I'd managed to single-handedly, get a lot of success, money, fame, and then when I'd lost it, I thought, how have I managed to get so much success, and now I've lost it? I felt like such a loser. Yeah. But then I remember,
because things can just happen overnight as well. Like, but they can come and they can go overnight.
Well, I remember,
like, it's wild.
I remember once I'd changed things up, and then again, a fantastic woman came in my life, my now wife. She is such a huge part of I owe everything.
We need them.
No, honestly,
we do. Like,
I do.
You need a strong partner there. You need someone who, when you're having a bad day, they cheer you up, they pick you up, and like me and my partner, that's exactly how we are now. Like she's had her struggles with her mum's had cancer and stuff, and like that's around the time we met. So like she always says to me, like, I'm so glad I met you when I did, because you helped me through that part. But then my dad passed, and she'd only met my dad once, and like it was crazy, because it was like less than a month before he like passed away. So it was just like, I'm so glad that they did meet, and then she got like an understanding of him, so she can know.
If you go through that,
if you go
through that, like a loss. I remember when my wife's granny and nan had passed away, and I was heavily involved in a situation that happened. But she seen how I was about that, and I think when you experience that together, it can really, really, really get you close, because you're going through that hard time, but you've got your partner who picks you up, and you again, you touched on before. I remember once I'd came out of that bad stage in my life. You mentioned the word momentum, and honestly, I remember literally feeling like it going like, I'm coming back.
This is,
things are coming. And then I started getting a little bit of luck. And I remember thinking, I'm starting to come back here.
There's no better feeling. So that's exactly what
the comeback.
The comeback
is even better.
Yeah, it is. I remember that. So like when I said I got the call to Australia, that was around that time. I was literally like, what am I going to do? Like, I haven't got Geordie Shore there anymore. Like, I can't just dive back into that. I'm single. I don't really want to go out on the drink all the time. Like, what am I going to do? And then I got that call, and then I flew out there, and I remember I was walking along Bondi Beach, and I was like, he's back. He's back. I feel good.
What I've picked up on with both of you, actually, is the self-awareness. So your self-awareness moving from Newcastle to Darlington because that wasn't the right place for you, and you needed some structure, some routine back in your life. With your self-awareness, with identifying that you were struggling at home a bit, and you needed to move to Dubai. And we've talked a bit about warm water as well. You were in the bath having deep thought, and you had a realization in the shower. And I think what that shows for people that are watching and listening.
I don't have baths anymore.
That's a great point.
I find them depressing now. I don't really have a bath.
But it's when you're alone. It's when you're alone.
It's when you're alone and you're sat and it's quiet and you're just like.
That's a great point that you've mentioned there.
And what I really want to people to listen here is to go take a step back and think about where you are in life. If you're not in a good place, what can you do? What change can you make?
Have to
That's
do something about it,
self-awareness.
because there's no. I know it's very hard, but everyone goes through it, and like you are the only person who can pull you out of them situations.
100%.
Like you cannot just wait for a good day to come. Like you have to be going out chasing good things, and when you're giving off positive energy and like vibes, you attract more. That's what I was saying with the momentum. When you're happy and you walk into a room and you're like upbeat, people like you, and people. But if you walk into a room and your head's down and people are like, "Are you okay, mate?" Like. The energy just switches, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what? Again, you've said something absolutely on the money there. Yeah. That is something that I always touch on. I remember something switched in me where I thought, you know what? No one's got a wand here. There's only going to be one person that gets me out of this bad place. And it's me.
It is.
And it's you. And you have to change.
But how good do you feel after once you've pulled yourself from like
100%?
Everyone goes through dark times.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You know what?
There's always a way out. There's always like a way back to your best.
Yeah. Well, I remember,
and I hope people listen into that as well.
Yeah, I remember. I think one of my highlights was when I opened Mr. Hutton's Barbers and Bar. I remember literally, it was the first night of the business had opened, and I went in the back and I was literally tearing because it was busy, because I was so proud of myself, because I'd thought I was in a bad place, but and that was like the point where I thought, you know what, you fought back and you've come back and you've opened a business, and that was like I said, that comeback. It was like, yes,
you've done it for yourself.
Yeah.
I think as well. Going back to like when you went through those stages, you weren't as open to talk about things like that.
No.
Like you would not go ring your mate up and be like, "Oh mate, I'm struggling. Like this is what."
Yeah.
No,
whereas now,
absolutely not.
If you seen one of your mates and they asked you, you probably would be like, I'm having a hard time with this or that. So I'm glad things are moving forward. Like that.
No, you're right. You're right. It is it's certainly getting better.
Especially for blokes, because I think there was always that perception that you think yourself as well, like, I need to be strong, like I can't be upset, I can't be like showing that I'm any sort form of weakness.
Well, especially like, you know, lads who want to be winners in stuff, or, you know, alphas, or, you know, like, you know, lads who want to be they just want to be successful, don't you? But with them traits, I think, you know, winners struggle with not delivering, or if they struggle with failure, and if they feel as if like they're not delivering, or the you know, they're in a bad headspace, they don't want to let that out because they think it's like a weakness. It's something that
absolutely.
And you've obviously been fortunate in a position where you've had the psychologist, and it's obviously now very common for you to speak and openly talk. And you said,
but to be honest, I would still rather talk to one of my friends or one of my family,
Right, okay.
than a professional. Like, yes, it's good. Do you know what? It probably depends what you're going through, because they give a very like they're not biased in any way, because
trained,
they don't know you, they don't know your family or things.
Yeah.
So they can't give, like,
But I
an
think
opinion
it's
like
not. There's not one shoe that fits all, is it?
No. No.
For you, it might be you prefer to speak to a loved one or a friend. Some people, it might be
Someone,
a professional.
Yeah,
but it's good for
straight,
people to
like,
hear that, though, that you like the fact that you've got your family and your friends to speak to, because I think a lot of people are scared because they're the ones they look strong in front of. They're the ones that've got this front on. They're the ones, but they don't show that they're going through a bad time. It's like when you go to the pub with the lads, it's, how we doing, mate? You all right? Yeah, I'm sound. You? Yeah, sound. And then it's pint, football, cars.
and you're not really talking anything depth, are you?
Well, I think
it's just like
the thing is,
time.
I think the thing is with lads or men by trait, we take the piss out of each other. It's ingrained in us. You know, especially lads who play sport. You know, you don't show any weakness. Like, you know, a bad haircut. They're on you like a pack of wolves. A dodgy clothing item. It's by trait. We take the piss, and it's absolutely what we will always do. But them things though also do come back on us in terms of where we don't want to show weakness.
You couldn't imagine us sat in the cricketers talking about like where we're at. It just wouldn't happen, would it?
No, it wouldn't. Absolutely not.
So at the moment, you've got this. You're an online coach to do with fitness.
So that's like the way it goes back to the structure. So that is my job.
Yeah.
And now I treat Geordie Shore. Yes, I do treat it as a job, but it's more holiday. It's like once a year.
And it complements what you're doing.
It's like a bonus, because if I was to just do that, then I would have 6-9 months of the year, as I said before, just doing what I wanted, going shopping, going for meals. And I don't feel fulfilled in any way. Whereas I've got my structure, I've got my routine, I've got my clients that I speak to, and even just speaking to these clients on a daily, like motivating them and then hearing them happier, like their life all falling into place. Like I get a sense of achievement, and like that benefits my life as well. So like it's like a domino effect, isn't it? Once you have everything in a line, it just seems to just get better and better. Whereas before, sat around doing nothing. Like some people think, oh, I wish I didn't have to go to work. But if they had a month on holiday, like a month off work, or even like COVID and stuff, they were probably like,
oh, I mean,
can't wait to go back to work.
Look at the mental health that happened over COVID. With people stuck in the house with nothing to do. The rates went.
Doesn't it?
It destroyed. It destroyed a lot of people. COVID, because like what you touched on there, the structure and the routine was wiped out, and there was so much time on your hands, so much time to think, not doing anything.
It broke down my relationship at the time. Because we were both working from home, living 24/7, and ultimately it broke down that for me.
We do need a routine. I just think we need routine. We need structure.
We're creatures of habits, aren't we?
Yeah. So, how did you get into the online coaching? So you obviously had a gym. Didn't work out.
So for me, I actually haven't shown it, and I think I am going to show more, especially in the next kind of couple of years of like what I look like. I don't think you met me when I was about 17.
I think you were about 18.
Yeah.
Aye.
But when I was at school and stuff, like I was not in shape. I was overweight.
Well, your nicknames, I've always known you as Tank.
Yeah.
It feels still uncomfortable for me calling you James. I'm trying to be professional here. I still know him as Tank, but
that's what I used to get called at school, because I was built like a tank, but like I wasn't like muscular. I was just like a big lad, like, I remember I got picked for the rugby team and stuff, didn't have any interest in rugby, didn't like it. But I was like, especially around the 12, 13 mark, I was born, I would say obese, like.
Right, okay.
So a lot of people don't know that, because I remember at the time I was so embarrassed, like I didn't want to show that.
Yeah.
And I think that got me into, because like when I was at school and stuff, didn't get much attention. Like I always felt like all the other lads had girlfriends and stuff. I didn't have one. Like I couldn't get one.
I can relate.
And I was just like, oh, I'm just like the fat kid. Like no one really likes me. Never really had a lot of bullying, but like a few people tried at times. But I was quite like I'd done kickboxing and that when I was younger, so I was a bit. Kind of nipped it in the bud quite quick. I was like, you're not going to bully me, mate.
A few kids got punched in the mouth.
Yeah, I think I had two.
Which should happen to bullies.
On my first ever day of like middle school, twice, because people were trying to bully us.
Right.
But yeah, really overweight and didn't have any confidence, was quite shy. So it's mad to see that I went from that shy kid with no confidence who didn't like the way he looked to going on to a TV show. Yeah. And kind of being shown to everyone as this guy who, and a lot of people would look at it and think loved himself, like super arrogant, super confident, and like fitness got me to that point. I remember the first day I started the gym with my best mate. His dad was a bodybuilder, and we were still at school. We used to get the bus from school to the gym.
Was this Bates's gym?
We went there, but it was Big Al, Cuts and Curves.
Oh, right.
It was Kurt's dad.
Right.
So Kurt's dad, massive, like
Mr.
He was like a Mr. Universe or something.
Nice.
And me and Kurt were both like overweight, and we were both big lads, but we didn't do anything. Like we didn't do anything about it. We didn't diet. We didn't train. So we started getting into that, and I remember like after a couple of weeks, we'd go, God, your arms are getting bigger, aren't they? Like you're looking good. Like these gym sessions are paying off, and it just become part of the routine. So we'd go probably 3 or 4 times a week back then, and then. It's just never left us. I've never had that part where I've had a year off the gym, 6 months off the gym. It's always been, if I started to feel a bit crap about, like if I'd been away filming, because we used to film for 6 weeks, drinking and eating crap, you'd come back and you'd put on weight. The first thing I'd do, back in the gym, back on the diet. It was like my feel good. And then, as I said, I just started to feel better, and I've never turned my back from it. But if I showed you a photo, I actually might have a photo on my phone of what I look. I've got a school photo I found from when I was about 13. And you just wouldn't even recognise us.
So that love of the gym has then gone on to be a career. Yeah. And
then because I've done it and I've realised how much it's made me feel better, like I can relate to people when they're not happy about the body, when like I didn't have a clue what to do then, and like I studied and I researched it, and it was a lot of trial and error to create the path to like lose weight. Because it wasn't massively like showcased like now on Instagram. Everyone's a coach, you can see it. You can get advice. Whereas back then it was like there was a couple of magazines, but there weren't really. There was no YouTube. There was no nothing. So you kind of just had to work it out for yourself. And now because I knew how good I felt, I want to help people do it. I know that position, their starting position. They don't know what to do. And there's so many people out there or the friends that they speak to, they'll be like, just cut all your carbs, just have meal replacements and stuff. And like, I wanted to correct all that because people weren't getting any better because of it. Like they were just doing it for a week, then going back to the old habits.
There's a lot of fads out there nowadays on social media to do with nutrition and
it's all
what
just
you
money
should
making.
do.
I think if you're coming from a place of empathy though as well, that's something where I get quite attached. Like I've had clients where I've got them ready for the weddings and stuff. And I remember thinking like, I'm just so happy by it. Well, that's how it came from me being in the from being a barber. Not being
feel good.
Not being in the barber being a barber actually helped me because I didn't really tell people that I've been in a bad place. I'd moved to Dalton. I never told people the reason why I was in Dalton was actually specifically to get into a better headspace. But then when I started having clients opening up in the chair about not being in a good headspace, that's when that gave me the nudge to go, oh well, listen, mate, I've been in a bad headspace, but I'm actually someone who's got out of it. It was coming from a place of have actually been there, and you being that guy who was overweight.
And it helps massively. Like they'll
Yeah,
appreciate
they can relate to it.
Yeah.
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 But yeah.
So what's next? You
What's
obviously,
next?
yeah. Lots
So-
going on.
Now we film Geordie Shore once a year, but it's like filmed around our lives. So in the last one, I got engaged. So like I proposed everything.
Right.
So all that's on camera.
Yeah.
So like that's captured all them amazing memories. So I'll be able to look back on it. And then people who grew up watching the show, and they'll have seen us going in and out of nightclubs and having relationships fail, and they'll see that now. And then she's like in the show now as well, and like she's just a natural. All the girls love her and stuff. So we film that once a year. So the next one we're filming early next year. It's one of the lads, like my mate on the show, Kyle. It's his wedding.
Right.
So I think we're going to film his wedding. So like every year it's like something now. And like Sophie's trying for a baby.
Yes.
So like
that's
that.
very public as well.
Yeah.
You know, she's going through a lot on Towie, isn't it? With Jordan.
With Jordan, yeah. So he's involved in the show now, and he's a lovely bloke. So it's like it's more like with normal lives now. Whereas then it was like you're locked in the house. Like there's your case. Get in the house. You're going out partying. So it was like it was like a lad's holiday. That's what Geordie Shore used to feel like. Whereas now it's like we're showcasing what actual lives,
real life events.
Yeah. But that's what people want to see now. No one wants to see someone in the mid-30s going out trying to drink as many trebles as they can.
By the way, though, this was a question that actually I wanted to ask you. Yeah. So I remember when yous would do Geordie Shore, and obviously that entailed basically going out on the drink, drinking, partying.
Yeah.
Then you would come off, and most of the time for the source of income, you were doing personal appearances in nightclubs, which again involved going out, having free drink.
Yeah.
Like how did you cope with all of the alcohol drinking? And is that what happened?
Yeah. That is basically what happened. Like I must have done, I couldn't even put a number on it. I bet I've done upwards towards 1,000 nightclub appearances. Right. Sometimes, like, you'd get out of filming. So you'd just been filming Geordie Shore for 6 weeks, right? You'd been in Cancun or Australia or somewhere, and you have to drink to get through it. Otherwise, it feels like a long time. Like, if you go to a nightclub, especially back in the day when it was like unheard of to go to a nightclub and not drink, your night, what might have been 3 hours, would feel like 10.
Yeah.
So if you drank, your days would go quicker. So you'd get through the filming quicker. And you'd probably deliver better stuff because you were doing daft stuff because you were pissed. To then come out and then do nightclubs. But you would get booked to do a nightclub, right? And they would expect Geordie Shore to turn up. So they would have a bottle of vodka on the table. They'd want you doing shots. They'd want to see you like you were on TV. So
and you're getting paid a lot of money for it as well.
It was literally thousands. So I was like, going to make the most of this. Unreal. But I'd come out from filming and it'd be like, right, you've got 55 nightclubs to do over the next 2 months.
Yeah.
But then you'd look at the money and you'd go, like, I can, like, that's a, like,
yeah.
I can't not do this.
Yeah.
But I actually got to a point, it was probably about a year before I left, I started going to the clubs and I wasn't drinking.
Really?
So I would still do the PA.
Right.
And I would go and I would have a good time and I would do stuff, but I wouldn't drink.
Right.
Did that have a detrimental effect, though? Did that mean you got less appearances?
No, I think because there was only a few people doing the PAs in that time. There was literally like me, Gaz, Scott came on. I think there was a lad called Mario from Towie, Mark Wright, them sort of lads. So we would get the clubs, they wouldn't book girls. There wasn't really like DJs were booked. It was just like you'd have a reality lad there. You'd probably have every one of them were there throughout the week because every night was busy, these student nights and stuff. And you'd just be rammed. And I think a lot of people started not drinking on them. I know the Towie lads, they wouldn't drink.
Right.
Gaz just drank and it just didn't seem to affect him. Like he lived and breathed it. Like that was his life for about 5 years. Like he would enjoy it.
Well, I remember when Gaz, there was a lad called Billy.
Billy, aye.
So
he was allergic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was allergic to alcohol, but it never stopped him.
Nah.
But I remember he went on tour with Gaz, and Billy'd put about 3 stone on.
Yeah.
Whereas
Gaz didn't change.
Gaz didn't change. Gaz was still like shredded, didn't change at all. Yet Billy was like red faced from being allergic to alcohol, and he put on about 3 stone.
I think Gaz was just bred to do that. Like that life was literally like it's all he done was the PAs and like.
Yeah,
Like,
Gaz did love it. Gaz did love it. Like,
do it, me. Like, I'd done it for so long. Like I said, I must have done nearly 1,000, like over the space of 4 years. Like, I done a hell of a lot.
Aye. But I remember though, when I got first, I didn't know what a PA was.
Yeah.
Right. I literally didn't know what that is, that was. And I remember sitting down with my agent, and she went, "Do you want to do PAs?" And I was like, what are they?
They were the best thing ever.
Yeah.
At the start, when it's new.
Yeah.
Well, she was like, "You're going to get paid $3,000 to go to a nightclub, and like that's it." And
Just
I was
have
like,
a night out and take some photos. Yeah.
I was like,
You're only
really?
Yeah.
I was like, I couldn't believe that was the thing.
Yeah, it was.
It was
It's not a
like-
thing now, though.
Is it not?
Nah, they just.
Or does it not
they
happen
just
now?
book DJs.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah,
like, I
you
don't
don't
think
see it now.
I
I
don't
don't
think
see it
people go
now.
out like they used to.
No, they
Like
don't.
people go to the one-off like rave like festival sort of thing.
Oh, is
But-
that actually not the thing now? Like, so they don't
my
really do
little
it.
brother's at
Yeah,
Northumberry
not-
Uni
not
now,
really.
and he lives there, and it's completely
Yeah.
different.
It-
So,
Is
like
it?
we
Yeah.
used to go, we're the same age, so we used to go at the same time.
Yeah.
But compared to what it was like when it was like, because there used to be something on a Monday, then it
Yeah.
was Tuesdays, then it was Waikiki, then
Yeah.
there was some of the
DLS, Kinky
oh,
Disco.
Mood,
They were good
Mood
times.
was
Good
like,
times.
it was mental, but like now I'm like, oh, are you out much? What you doing? Nah.
no
And
one-
he's like, oh, next time I'll be out for the Euros, and I'm like, it's 3 months away, and he was like, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
People don't.
mental.
I think it's because it's so expensive now to go on a night out compared to what it was when we used to go out. We've got a lot of stuff for free, but
Yeah. Remember that
when
place?
did we ever spend over 50 quid on
Yeah,
a
I
night
know.
out?
Can you remember that bar that done pound a Jaeger bomb? And we would be out on a Monday, and we would literally. I mean, there's a lad called the Bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And he's called the Bomb. And that nickname stuck, and it was because the amount of Jaeger bombs he used to drink.
Yeah.
Like it was like he was getting known as like the guy who drinks the Jaeger bombs.
I
Good-
remember,
good
I remember
times to
3
look
for a
back on.
5, 3
Yeah.
trebles for a 5 at basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be absolutely minging walking out.
You know what though? I think again we touched on people especially men were starting to be a little bit more comfortable with talking about stuff around mental health, and I think people's knowledge around alcohol has changed people's
Massively.
perception. Like you're getting young guys now because of research and stuff actually teetotal and stuff.
Yeah, they don't-
Relationship with
don't
alcohol's
drink.
changing a little bit as well.
But they're doing a lot more high rocks and they're going out running, they're going to the gym. A lot of them are nailed into the diet at like 18, 19 now. And
Yeah, I mean,
seeing
now-
crazy progress. Whereas back for us, like you used to live for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like you used to live to go out. Like that was the highlight of every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going out tonight. Oh, get in.
I mean, my motivation was that. I mean, the gym was so I looked half decent
for a night
For a night out.
In the
Yeah.
All Saints t-shirt.
yeah. And I remember if you look at, I mean, I've been in the best shape of my life actually in my 30s and 40s than I was in my 20s, and I think it's just knowledge of nutrition,
Yeah.
and all that's out there now for us to be
Absolutely.
Better.
So obviously,
definitely much
flying
better
now, you're doing Geordie
Yeah.
Shore once a year. You've got
Yeah.
the relationship that's going really well.
Yeah.
Online coaching. So you're on a real high at the moment. Would you
Yeah.
say? Would you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
you're in
yeah.
a really good place?
Yeah, really good. But I still always look for I'm always wanting to like what's next as well. So I've got
Right.
them,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, I feel like I want. It comes down to structure again. Like recently, I've been thinking of doing the gym again, but solely on my own, and it just being a like a PT studio. So I've been thinking having a PT studio there where I hire a couple of PTs to work out of. They train clients. I'll take on maybe it's a very small amount, but I'll be able to get my online clients to come up and see us, and then we can train together. We can do photo shoots and set goals and stuff in there. But then I also want an office in there, so I'm like, I have to leave my house to go to the
Feel like
office.
you're going to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, because I haven't had like a structured job since I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's mad because I need that.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
so I'm just like, right, well, Geordie Shore's here now. That mightn't be here in a couple of years. So like, I'm kind of setting myself out. As I say, Geordie Shore to me now is my bonus. It's my holiday. I go and I enjoy it and I deliver on it, but like, I don't plan my life around it. Whereas years ago, it was my life.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I've got my coaching, everything's going well. I want to keep going with the momentum with this. Do I have a space where people can come and see us? I can do stuff.
Yeah. Where will that be located? Where do you think?
The northeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the northeast.
Yeah.
And then because it's quite simple as well. Like I've got clients all over, so they'd be able to just get a train up or drive up. And I just think it'd be nice to put events on and invite them all down together, so it's like a community.
Yeah. And you get that face-to-face feel as well, and you get to know your clients on a better level, and they get to know you, and obviously the other guys in the studio.
Exactly, and they'd love to come up, but like not only is it like something for them to feel better, but it also makes me feel better as well.
Yeah.
Like having somewhere to go every single day. Like, you know yourself, if you're in the house, because I do a lot of my work from my laptop, I can be from anywhere. That's why Dubai worked. But I was just sitting in coffee shops and stuff where it's not the same as having that set up.
Yeah.
And like,
Well,
it sounds mad when you think back of what my life on Geordie Shore was, partying, going to nightclubs.
you
But now I'm like,
evolve.
I literally want a desk with a whiteboard.
Aye.
And like
Them things. I think it's
Yeah.
about. I think it's just about evolving. Of you know, you're a different animal from when you're 20 to start in your 30s and then your 40s. Different stuff appeals.
feel good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You've
I'm
got different priorities. I imagine when you've got kids as well, everything.
Oh yeah.
Like I know when I have kids, I'm just going to turn into a different beast because I'm going to be like, right, everything is for them now. I'll push myself that bit further.
Yeah.
So I like that's kind of the setup now. Like I do want to have kids in the sort of next 2 or 3 years.
Aye. No, I was actually going to mention that, but I didn't want to. I thought, am I putting pressure on the situation?
No, absolutely, yeah.
Please,
Absolutely.
Well, honestly, please do. It's the best.
Yeah.
You know, you've done some great things in your life and you've lived some awesome experiences, but I promise you that nothing comes close to being a dad.
I can imagine. And obviously all the things that my dad's passed on to me that I remember, like
Yeah.
I also think now, like I want to be there and do that for my kids as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so-
Go on then, ask you a question.
Well, actually, there's one question. There's one more question actually that I'm going to ask, and then you ask the last one. I just want to get back into the reality TV stuff because I think it's actually a lot of value having someone who's done the reality TV show
for so long as well.
I know.
Like people look at me now and they're like, "You're still on Geordie Shore?" And they're like, "How old are you now?" Like 40 or something. I'm like, "Well, I definitely don't look 40." But it just seems like it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
It's been a big part of your whole adulthood, though.
Yeah, it has.
We're
It's
in
been probably a quarter of my life or
Well,
something. Isn't it?
yeah. So we've got no better man to be on the show to talk about it. So the question I want to ask is, you know, we've got the youth of today.
Yeah.
Now with reality TV show being so popular and stuff, a lot of them probably will be like, I want to go and do a reality TV show. What advice would you give to the youth of today? Important advice that you could give them about if they were going to get on the show. What tools and stuff would you know, what advice would you give?
Yeah, what would I give? For me, yes, there has been some negatives, but there's been by far more positives. And I think my life experience that I've had from doing a TV show, what was just at the time I thought was going to be a 3-week holiday in Newcastle, has turned into us traveling all over the world, like meeting so many people. Like we're from concert, like it's like a town. So like then I was going to Australia and different places, and even going to London is a massive difference.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a person, I've grown so much, and like the way I look at life and different things, and the way I can adapt to things. Whereas I think if I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't be the person I am today, if that makes sense. Like, I think I would be completely different. Like if you put me and my brother together, we are very, very, very different.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of mine is because I've got out a lot more.
Yeah.
But obviously same morals, same everything, lovely lad. But I'm always like next thing, like looking for like something to excite us.
Yeah.
I think it's because I've had a taste of it as well. But for anyone wanting to do stuff, I think when you're young, especially, if you get opportunities, then obviously it depends what they are. But if you've got an opportunity to go on a TV show, do it.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, but just don't expect too much from it. Because I've seen people come on to Geordie Shore in late stages and they think, I'm going to be making all this money, I'm going to buy the big house, I'm going to be driving around in nice cars. And for a lot of them, it never happened because everything's changed so much. There's not the nightclub appearances, there's not as many endorsements, they're not getting as big of a fee for doing it. So for these shows, it's like, yes, you could be one of the lucky people that get a massive break from it. Like you look at Love Island now, they film it twice a year. There's 5 or 6 different other shows. Out of every season, there's probably 2 people that do really, really well. And a lot of the others, it could be quite easy to fall into that dark headspace because you're thinking, wow, I've got this opportunity. You're on a massive high that you're going to gain so much from it. And in reality, you mightn't. You might be one of the ones that's given no airtime, not really shown. You might leave after 3 or 4 days. So kind of enjoy everything and embrace it, but don't expect too much from it.
Great words. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
But I think people now as well, like, I know people who've got more followers than me and they've never been on TV. They literally do TikTok and stuff. So like there is so many, there's so much opportunity now to create a better life for yourself if you want to go down that route. If you want to be known and you want you want a different lifestyle, then it's a lot more achievable now compared to, especially back when you done it. You had to be literally a character. Like
Well, I mean,
they would have cast thousands, hundreds. For Big Brother, I imagine they.
Well, there was only there was back when I done it. There was literally only Big Brother.
I know,
and that was. I remember being a postman, not happy with my life, and I was like, right, I'm gonna try and get on Big Brother. Like that's gonna change my life up.
Because you probably watched it and thought, I could do this.
100%. Yeah, I was a fan.
Smash this.
I was a fan, but I was very hungry for it, and I've something that I've certainly learned in my life, getting to this point is if you really want something, you can get it. Absolutely. And everything that I've really wanted, and it's burnt, I've ended up getting it. And that's a true, like people will look at the likes of you, or they'll look at famous people and they'll put them on pedestals. You used to be that little young lad who was overweight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but it's just the mindset.
Yeah.
And if you really want
I
something,
change this.
And
I got in shape. And
it's not this magic.
If I hadn't been in shape and hadn't been confident and outgoing, I would not have got on that show.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't have made them changes back when I was 16, 17, 18, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
So it goes back to like the mental health side. So if you are in a dark place and you're finding yourself, like you're isolating yourself from people, you sat scrolling most of the day, you don't leave your bedroom, you don't leave your house, then you are going to struggle to get into a better routine and feel better. But if you take yourself out of that situation and you put yourself on a better path and set some goals and really go after it, and don't give up, then it's going to come around quicker than you think. Like it's not going to take a long time.
And you know what I seen recently an interview with this really like successful entrepreneur. And what I'm about to say here, I'm not saying you've got to be shredded and ripped and everything like that. But he got asked a question of the importance of being fit and in shape.
I think I've seen it. Is he a bald guy and he's on the stage and he tells them?
No, he's not bald. No, it's another one. No, he was an American guy. He's really popular on social media. I forget his name. But he was like, me being in shape, fit, is the number one priority. And he said everything else falls into place after that.
I know who you're talking about. I've seen them both. You're talking about a guy called Andy.
Yeah. But he's like...
He's a coach, isn't he?
Yeah.
He coaches salespeople.
And he wants people to be in shape.
I've seen him.
Because when you are
And he is quite direct, isn't he?
Oh,
With
it's
his
very,
approach.
very direct.
yeah.
But like I said before, it's like a domino effect. Once you get into a good place and you're feeling good, everything just starts
The momentum.
Okay.
Yeah.
starts forming.
So this is normally Ant's question, but he's give the honours to me. I'll
Right,
assist
okay.
today.
Come on then.
We always finish with your best story.
Best
Can be
story.
to do with Geordie Shore, outside, anything, whatever comes to your mind, springs to mind. What's your best story?
My best story. I'm trying to think of something that won't get us into any trouble.
Yeah, you've got to be able to
Because
say it on camera.
like you can imagine, like there's been a hell of a lot of. There was a lot of stories before even Geordie Shore. There was some good times, and then they just got more and more as we done Geordie Shore. Best story. I'm kind of on the spot now.
Sometimes it's those people.
Yeah, it is. Or maybe it's your best experience.
Best experience.
Or when was the moment where you just like flipping hell? How's this happened? Or why am I here?
Yeah.
Or
There's been so many. Like I remember because when Geordie Shore came out on TV, it was literally like an overnight.
Oh yeah.
It went wild, but like we were in London and stuff, and I remember people like workmen in the vans would drive past, put the window down, and like shout over and stuff. And like I remember when like shopping once, I felt like the Pied Piper because I had this following of people behind us. It was all just like teenage girls and like young lads, and that there was about 50 of them following us into Zara and that. And I remember that was like just kind of this whole experience for me. It was I couldn't have even planned it. Like it was just wild from the get go. But getting invited to like amazing places, I remember we'd start going out in London, going to these places where it's like minimum spend was thousands. Like everyone in there was like bankers, and there was a load of celebrities, actors and stuff. Remember one of the first ones I ever went to was that. Remember the film The Business?
yeah.
Remember the not what was he? Is it Tam?
Tammy
Oh
Hussein.
yeah.
I remember seeing him in a club, and I was like,
Yeah, I've met him.
yeah. There's like a few of them out and about, and like I was stood in this club, and we hadn't even made like big money or anything then.
Yeah.
Had like a free big bottle of Grey Goose and a bottle of that gold Ace of Spades. I stood there
Armand
and
de Brignac.
I had like a Primark t-shirt or something on, and I was thinking, I'm the dog's bollocks here. Like
Yeah.
it was just
Anything
mad.
you would, the highs, the lows, anything? Would you change anything?
Or no, because I feel like the story and kind of my life, the way it's it's formed me as who I am, and I'm really happy with who I am.
Yeah.
Everything that I've got
Yeah.
going on right now.
I'm
Like,
pleased you've said that.
Yeah.
As I said, if you had asked us a few years ago, before I would have been, when my relationship broke down, when I didn't have the TV to fall on every year, I was like, I've made a mistake here. Like I should have just ended my relationship. I should have been that guy who tried to like come back in single, but then I'm so glad that I never did,
Yeah.
because that's not me really.
Yeah.
So like everything that I've done has been on my own terms.
Yeah.
And then the comeback has been even stronger. Like
Aye.
I really loved my first part of Geordie Shore and the experiences and what we were doing. But I feel like the second part has been like I've really come into my own, and I've showcased more me, my personality, etc. Whereas back in the day, like we were just a bunch of loose people who just used to go out.
No, I think there's probably no right or wrong answer, but from speaking to everyone who I speak to who's successful, and I say what you say, I wouldn't change anything, because the losses, the lows, they're all lessons.
They're
And
always a lesson. I was just about to say that. It's never a loss, it's always a lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you grow from it. If you don't have any hard times or any struggle, how are you going to know what's really good?
Well,
You need to go through the dark times to appreciate the better times. And then when the really good times come,
well, so a lot of the time you could argue a loss or a mistake actually might be one of the best things you can do, because you're like, all right, okay, that didn't work. That's not happening again.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this now. And it's all a learning curve. So no, I'm pleased you said no, you wouldn't change anything. I always say, you know what, wouldn't change a thing, because it's carved who I am today.
Exactly. It makes you stronger, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like anyone watching it who is going through hard times and stuff, like it's not going to last. Like, what is it? Tough times don't last. Tough people do. Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard times don't last. Yeah. You
Yeah.
get through it.
Well,
and
it
then
is, it's-
when you get through it, you'll just
Well,
get a
no,
whole new
it's
lease of life.
it's you know what? Again, though, you keep on everything you're saying. I'm like that, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, and I think that's again something so important of just understanding the process of time. Nothing lasts forever, and that's including the bad times. And if you just keep on implementing the right stuff, stop doing the bad stuff, implement the right stuff, changing things up, talking, exercise, slowly but surely, you will get into a better place. And this is a quote that I always say in me talks. You know, we're a mental health and suicide prevention. Suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just understanding, look, those bad times won't last. Just do all the right stuff. Little steps, and you'll get better in that headspace.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think
I'll close it up.
Yeah.
But honestly, James, you've been an amazing guest. And for people watching and listening, they can take a lot from this. There's a lot of different angles you've come from, you know, getting through the bad times, using the gym, just so much. And
But
you
I
know,
think it's good to showcase all of that, especially if it's people watching it who have seen me on shows and stuff, because they might look at it and think, why is my life not like that? Why has he got it? He'll not struggle if I can get to that. But everybody goes through hard times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Through different things. Relationships, losing family members, business. Like everyone goes through them. But you get out of them and you get on to the next thing, which is what you were meant to do. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
No, that's great advice, that.
Yeah, but I think I'm buzzing with today. It's been a really good sitting down with you lads. Keep doing what you're doing. I think it's absolutely incredible.
No, I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. If you want to get a daily motivation from watching people get shredded by James, head over to his Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Still James G. Shaw, actually.
James G. Shaw. He's hanging on to it a bit like Ant with Big Brother, but
and I've got James Tindale Fitness as well. That's my fitness page.
I was just about to say, and if you are looking for an online coach, head over to James Tindale Fitness. Yeah. And we're going to wrap it up there. As always, please like and subscribe. It's going to help us grow the project. It's going to help us grow the podcast and get more guests for you guys to be able to resonate with and get more great advice. It really does help us. So please do like and subscribe and drop a comment. Who would you like to see next on the podcast? And we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. So normally you're getting special treatment here.
Oh, am I?
Normally our guests get white head towels.
Okay.
You're getting a full big towel.
Big towel.
Never thrown the
For
towel.
a big tank.
Yes.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Legend, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Really good.